I'm ending all of this. The tree, the text, the Jedi. I'm gonna burn it down.
The Last Jedi is one of the most contentious, if not the most contentious film in the Star Wars franchise. But what if I told you that Revenge of the Sith sets it up perfectly? I've always given The Last Jedi more credit than many other fans, and I'll be honest, as much as I love Revenge of the Sith, there are some moments that in it, for me, have always been a struggle. But now that I got to sit down and watch the theater re-release, I realized that some of the weakest moments of Revenge of the Sith explain and predict the most controversial choice of The Last Jedi, Luke's choice to give up. In fact, to quote Lucas,
again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Welcome to Philosophy All Along. I'm a professional philosopher, and I like to use the tools of philosophy to help me dig deeper into the things I love. And I love Star Wars an awful lot. I have to say, if you haven't had a chance to see Revenge of the Sith on the big screen, do it. It's fantastic. Seeing that first capital ship as large as life while Anakin and Obi-Wan fly through a swarm of vulture droids, totally worth it. And if you can see it in one of those seats that moves around and punches you in the back, it's cool. It's really, really cool. But to my point, how does Revenge of the Sith set up The Last Jedi? Well, what do I hear as the biggest complaint about The Last Jedi? A lot of people hate that Luke gives up and runs to Ahch-To. Luke wouldn't have done that, and why is he hiding? He's a hero. That's not my Luke, is an argument I've heard over and over again. Honestly, I do think that Luke's choice is more in line with his general disposition than people think. He was always kind of inclined to give up and not super inclined to get involved in the first place. After all, he only joins Obi-Wan after his aunt and uncle are killed, and I think his most defining moment in Star Wars is when he fails to raise his X-Wing out of the Dagobah swamp. He fails because he gives up before he really tries, so it isn't a surprise that when he sees what his efforts with Ben Solo will and have already caused, what he did to the child of the two people he loves the most in the world, he gives up. But think about that Dagobah scene and what our little green friend tells him.
Do or do not. There is no try.
But it makes me immediately think of one of the toughest moments in Revenge of the Sith, when Yoda himself gives up. I never understood why he doesn't launch himself back into the Senate chamber and take Sidious down. In fact, he was winning only moments before. Did he break a little leg? Did Sidious call for reinforcements? We don't get it in the edit. Why did he give up? All we know is he tells Bail Organa,
into exile I must go. Failed I have.
Well, now we know where Luke gets it. It is literally the same choice Luke makes some 40 years later. And we know why. Because he believes that if you fail, or think you will, don't bother trying. Yoda is why he gives up on Ben Solo, on the galaxy, on himself. And at the heart of it is a sense that Luke knows. He doesn't really fully realize it until the end, but it's that sense that Yoda was wrong. Yoda realizes it. And as Luke has started to suspect, the Jedi and the Sith are more similar than he was led to believe. And this absolute is the problem. Remember what Obi-Wan says when he faces Anakin?
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
What's wild about that is that Obi-Wan's statement is an absolute. He's saying you must be a Sith if you deal with absolutes. There's no other way. The Jedi cannot see how close they are to the Sith. Like Sidious says,
the Sith and the Jedi are similar in almost every way.
And that fact is one that the Jedi don't want to face. Yoda's belief that one must do or do not is an absolute. He allows no space for the gray, no space for honest effort. You either succeed as a hero or fail as a shamed exile. And Luke took this lesson to heart and it broke him. But Yoda gets wiser, perhaps after seeing what his teachings have done to Luke and how seriously and unforgivingly he treats himself and others. And he returns as a Force ghost, telling Luke,
Heeded my words not, did you? Pass on what you have learned. The greatest teacher failure is. Luke, we are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters.
Notice he doesn't say we are what we grow beyond, but what they grow beyond. He's saying a teacher is a stepping stone for the student to grow beyond the teacher. That means that Luke, as Yoda's student, must grow beyond Yoda, just as Rey must grow beyond Luke. Yoda failed Luke, unknowingly taught him to give up if he thinks he can't win, if he himself fails, and that there is no room for failure. That teaching has had dire consequences for the galaxy. So Yoda returns to him and tells him in a very indirect Yoda-esque way, I was wrong. You must grow beyond me. And he is reminding him that if you don't try, fail you must. Revenge of the Sith is a film about failure, and the failure to try again. Yoda fails and runs into exile. Padme fails to bring Anakin back and chooses to give up and die. Though, according to the droids, there's no reason for her to do so. And Anakin falls to the dark side. He gives up on the Republic, the Jedi, and himself. So I think it's very intentional that Revenge of the Sith ends with so many people giving up, and A New Hope is about someone learning to try even when it seems impossible to succeed. But it takes Luke a lifetime to learn that lesson, that failing is going to happen, but you should not give up on yourself or on your friends. You can still succeed, even in just some small way, as long as you learn from that failure, as long as you try. And that's what he does in The Last Jedi. Oh, and just because it drives me insane, I've decided that Padme didn't just die because, well, somehow she lets her life go.
Medically, she's completely healthy. For reasons we can't explain, we are losing her.
I've decided she is a force dyad of some kind with Anakin, and when he is finally sealed up as Vader when Anakin dies, she does too. But that's a different video. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow the channel. Hit that bell for alerts. I do a lot of stuff on politics, but I'd rather do more on Star Wars because it's a lot more fun. If I missed something, and I know I have, pop it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, may the Force be with you.